Hello, welcome back to another episode of Curious Notion. So, a little while back, probably like 2, 3 weeks ago, actually, I posted on my story on my Instagram if people wanted me to do a episode with mental health and social media since I was doing a 8 minute presentation for my class in school, and a lot of people said yes. I think about a couple of people say yes. So I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway. It's practice for me to keep creating content. I keep getting more comfortable with my equipment, getting comfortable with talking in front of the camera, and it's part of the mental health and social media experience. But really, a lot of it is going to be personal experiences with social media, just because my show is really about personal experiences and trying to bridge the gap between how connected we are with technology, but how disconnected we can be in person because of it. Mental health, right, is for me is basically just the mental state you are currently in about on a day-to-day basis on how much you can handle, right? If you have good mental health, you're probably going to be able to handle a lot of things that are thrown at you throughout the day, throughout the week. Uh, it's your ability to be able to cope because you're in a good mental state of mind. Uh, I'm in the military, so we have a system that it goes from like green to red, and depending on what color you are, it's how good your mental health is, and if you need help. So first is mental health is just your current well-being. With that, social media is with us every day. I mean, we carry social media in our pocket all the time. I do have some statistics from my class, so I'm probably gonna throw them at y'all, and they're kind of crazy. So first is, you carry social media around in your pocket. Funny enough, there's 4.8 billion social media users worldwide. That's about 60% of the population, according to this chart right here. And that's insane. That's more than half the population on the planet. And that's probably not taking into consideration that some of these people are probably not able to be on social media because they are not of age to be able to handle a phone yet, or any technology for that matter. But that's crazy. Also, on average, people use 6.6 different social media networks a day. So we all probably know them: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube, WhatsApp. I think if you can consider that a social media, anything that really connects you to someone else. So that is an insane statistic for how many social medias people use when you have so many. And each one interacts differently. For the most part, like they all kind of do some of the similar things after a while because obviously they're all trying to compete for your attention, to monetize and throw ads at you and keep you on their networks because that's able to sell your data to people and sell advertisements, and then that means you waste money and they make money, and these companies are trying to capitalize on your attention. I mean, what I'm doing right now is trying to get your attention to watch my shows. Uh, that's part of it, right? Everybody builds a certain way to get your attention. Creators are paid to grab your attention. That people see that they have reach, and they go away from traditional media to now influencers and content creators to be able to get your attention, right? This is stuff is highly, highly addictive, and we're all guilty of being on our phones all the time. I'm guilty of it quite often, honestly. It has gone down, I think, with me creating content now because I've gone from a consumer to now producing content, which makes me now be more away from it and create my own. And the reason why I'm doing it is for many reasons, really just to try to reach out to others and connect with people because I feel like we have been very connected with everyone that we are very close to, but at the same time, we have disconnected so much because our phone is robbing us of our attention. And I know I've mentioned that, but it's true. I mean, I can count how many times I go out with friends and We have like a 5 minute conversation and then we'll go on our phones and then we'll grab our phone and we don't mean to, but we do it anyway. So yeah, it's just your phone just robs you of so much attention. And with that comes things like, comparison. But before I get into like the negatives of social media, I'll get into some positives. So I mentioned I serve. I have friends all over the country. Some people are, out of the country, and social media has some positives, right? Some of the positives is obviously staying connected. If you have family across the states, you're able to call them, FaceTime them, send them memes, and that's a good thing, right? It's a positive thing. Before, you used to have to send a pigeon messenger, maybe. I don't know. Um, Mail took forever, and you had to wait to hear back from somebody, but now it's just instantaneously, like you can get that right away. And that's a huge positive, but it is also just can be scary to do it as well. But that's when I'll get into the negatives. So another thing is support communities. I read books. Some of my friends don't read books, and the ones that do read books don't read the same books I read. So in things like Reddit and Instagram, I'm able to find communities of the books I'm currently reading. So one of the series I'm reading right now, which I'm almost done with, is the Red Rising series. It's an incredible series with fiction and sci-fi, and it's really awesome. Highly recommend it. And nobody around me reads it, so I'm able to find a community on Reddit where I can talk about what's going on with the books and how I'm feeling. On Instagram, interacting with people that do some really awesome edits. So that's another positive, right? This is support communities, and this is just for books, but there's also probably communities for mental health, right? Where you have nobody to speak to about what's going on with you. You can join a community group. Um, there's all kinds of community books or communities support sites or whatever. So that's another positive for social media, right? If you're hardly introverted, you can still communicate. Just because you're not good at socializing in person doesn't mean that you can't send a text message or reach out to others, right? Um, Another one, which I'm doing right now, is self-expression and creativity. You no longer have to work for a company or anything of that matter to have some self-expression and creativity, right? If you have any hobbies, any things you like to talk about, be a writer, whatever, uh, there's platforms that exist for all that stuff, right? Uh, on YouTube, you can post videos and communicate with a community. You have Twitch to be a streamer and play video games, and people will watch you play video games. So that's really, really awesome stuff because now you no longer are by yourself, where now you can interact and self express with others and be creative about it, right? Many people create and they have giant communities. I mean, there's so many streamers that make so much money. Um, Independent podcasters now make so much money, and a lot of people find help. I know I'm one of those people. I watch podcasts like Modern Wisdom, Diary of CEO, Andrew Huberman, Jordan Peterson, and the list goes on and on. But those are some of the ones that I constantly watch. Not as much anymore. With me being working full time and going back to school and keeping up with my fitness and then creating my own content and reading my own books or reading books, I don't really have the time to tune in too much into social media anymore. But those that's an awesome thing now. You can self-create, self-express, and do your creativity. And if you're really good at it, somebody will pay you for it. So another one is being able to make money. Lots of people with consistency and hard work end up making a ton of money on social media. So that's a positive thing, especially if you're going through some financial hardship. Some of these things can be life changing. So another thing is access to information. Before, I think when we first migrated here, in the book that I was reading in classes, reading was only for the highly class. Now you have access to books everywhere. You have access to news. Like that information was just for the higher class. A lot of people didn't know how to read or write. So it's not that long ago that we did not have access to information. So that's another positive for social media, right? Because if I'm gonna do the mental health and social media topic, I should focus on both sides of the coin, right? There's not something that I should just. I don't think that when you focus on a negative, you also don't bring in the positives of that what can be, right? There's some things that can just all be negative. I can't think of any on top of my mind, but social media does have positives, just like it has negatives. So I'm gonna give the positives first because I think if I have the ability to look at both sides, I should definitely look at the both. Another one is now getting to the negatives, right? For younger people, I know when I was younger, I got made fun of because of the way I spoke. I'm still very shy, as you can see. I'm speaking incredibly fast. It's just a mechanism that I've developed when I was younger. I was just trying to rush it through, and part of the reason why I'm doing this is so I can learn how to speak and slow down and articulate myself better, right? Um, but bullying, right? Social media can be a thing where if you get bullied in person, now you can get bullied online for younger individuals and even older individuals, right? We're not immune or can get away from being made fun of or and stuff like that. So that's another one. A really big one is self-esteem issues. I definitely have gotten hit with that one for a long time. I think since I was a teenager. Uh, I would look at my body and I'm like, wow, I'm too skinny. And now that I'm older and I got an injury and I've put on some weight, I'm like, now I'm way too fat, um, way too stocky, big, whatever. I don't know. But self-esteem issues, it creates the comparison. You know, you look at people of your age and you're just like, wow, this person's traveling all the time. This person has this awesome car. This person is doing all these achievements that I want to achieve. I want to do that. It creates external factors that otherwise you wouldn't have seen a long time ago because now all of the stuff is all in your face now. So now you want these things. Before, when we lived in smaller, towns and villages, and the only thing we knew was the people around us. Now with social media, you can compare yourself to everyone because you have access to being able to see what everyone your age is doing. So now you can create these self-esteem issues because you're comparing yourself and you bring yourself down by doing that because you think you're missing out on things of life. But the problem with comparing yourself to somebody on the other side of the frame is you never know what that person is doing to make that frame look that way. Right? I can set up this beautiful background and all this other stuff, but here's the thing. Right now, I just finished doing laundry. There's laundry over there that needs folding, but this looks pretty, right? So it's a frame of everything. But I just finished doing laundry. But in this frame, it's like, oh my God, look at him. He has his little mic, he has his camera, he has some lighting. He just got a fresh haircut, looks clean, whatever, right? It it's a frame. You're only getting to see this, but right over there, there's you know laundry that I need to fold. And it just finished right before I was gonna do this video. So I'm like, I'll do the video and then afterwards I'll fold the laundry. So don't create self-esteem issues from what you see on one frame because it's heavily edited. You can edit the crap out of everything that you record or take pictures of. You can color grade it. You can cut off the us, and ums and whatever, trying to get your thoughts together, right? I do it for some of my videos because I want it to be smooth, but for this one, it'll be pretty personal, right? I'm gonna keep it as it is. I might fix it just a little bit, but for the most part, I'm gonna keep it as is because it's something that it relates, right? Social media and mental health. This is authentic, other than the laundry that I need to fold and the pretty lighting. So, um, when I was reading the book, there was something called Facebook envy. It's basically just a comparison between you and other people. It just creates envy. It's like, damn, look at my friends traveling all over the world. But what you might not know is that your friends are going in debt to travel all over the world. I've met people that they're really bad in debt because they were traveling. and they made it appear as so. And then I try to do it, and I'm just like, how are these people doing this? I'm literally going broke traveling. One trip for like 5 days was like $4,000, $5,000. I'm like, oh my God, dude, this is not, I don't even make this in a month, right? I make less than that. And that takes like 3 months of my pays. So eventually I'm like, yeah, I can't maintain this. I do travel quite a little bit just because of work. Other than that, I can't really do it on my own dime. It creates a disconnect from real life, right? Social media and real life are not the same thing. Yeah, it's just not. Like I mentioned, laundry needs folding, but you see this pretty frame, right? It's not real. There's a science behind it. If you watch the Huberman Lab, Modern Wisdom, Diary of I mean, somebody who's had Andrew Huberman on his show, uh, talks a lot about dopamine, right? A lot of people ask him about it. He speaks about it a lot, and dopamine is basically just a neurotransmitter that works in your brain, right? It helps distribute messages to each other in your brain. So my understanding of dopamine, right? This is what I'm taking as from the things that I've watched and learned and read, is it is something that gives you the feelings of pleasure and satisfaction when you do something enjoyable. So things like eating a chocolate bar. We all love chocolate bars, right? I love chocolate. That creates dopamine. It's an enjoyable activity. I think it has sugar. The sugar, I think, has something to do with it as well. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on it. But so when you do something pleasurable, your dopamine spikes. You get a dopamine hit. With that, though, that doesn't last very long. Eventually, your dopamine goes up and then your dopamine drops. The problem with it is when your dopamine drops, you drop below your baseline. So if this is your baseline, your dopamine goes up, you drop, it drops below baseline, which means now your baseline resets. So your baseline gets lower. What that's doing is you now need bigger hits of dopamine to get the same amount of pleasure. So your phone and social media actually create dopamine hits. That's why it becomes highly addictive. And one of the researches that I did, I think a professor from Stanford, they wrote like a book, and basically they compared social media to being like heroin because it's that highly addictive. And I don't know about you, but that's an insane comparison, right? And that just tells you like phone and social media can be highly devastating because of what it does to your brain. So you want to have some control over your phone usage because it's really that important. That's not taking into consideration that being on your phone disrupts your circadian rhythm for going to sleep. So I have bad sleep. I use the sleep app machine because I don't breathe very well. And when I started using it, my sleep got better. I'm like, wow, I haven't been feeling rested for like 3 years. And that doesn't help that I at night sometimes doom scroll or watch shows because I catching up for the day that I don't have time for myself. I realized that when you stay up at night on your phone, it's because that's the time that probably feels like it belongs to you. You went to work, you went to the gym. If you have kids, you deal with the kids. You have a partner. I don't have any of those, but I do, homework. I try to get in some video games in if I can, prep some food and all this other stuff. So when I finally lay in bed, I grab my phone and I'm like, oh my God, this time finally belongs to me. I can scroll on my phone, but next thing I know, like 2 hours went by. That's because when you're doing this, it's creating that dopamine and you're trying to get more pleasure out of it. And then you're just burning your brain out, right? You've probably heard of dopamine detoxes, which is just abstaining from activities that create a lot of dopamine hits. Don't quote me on any of this stuff. That's just what I've taken from watching shows that have neuroscientists and scientists coming in and talking about it. So I'm kind of paraphrasing here. Definitely do your own research, read about it. It's really interesting. I definitely learned a lot. I am a neurodivergent too, so dopamine doesn't work the same way it does for someone that's normal. My brain hardly produces any of it, apparently. That was really interesting to learn as an adult because I had completely forgot all about it. And then there was things going on in my life. And I had a conversation with my mother like a year or so ago. It was like, oh yeah, you completely like forgot about this part of your life. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did actually. And well, that explains a lot of things. All right. Uh, Probably why I don't feel a lot of pleasure from achievements and certain things. Like I just don't have the motivation, but try to keep myself at it. And yeah, or maybe it's just social media. Who knows? But that is the science behind it in mental health and phones and social media is because your phone is releasing this neurotransmitter called dopamine that generates pleasure and you're just burning your dopamine out. So every time you do it, you need bigger hits of dopamine to get the same reward feeling of using your phone. So if you don't know that, hopefully you know something new. Hopefully it gives you some curiosity, right? A curious notion, if you will, to go look that up. Using it healthy, right? Set limits, take breaks, follow some accounts that offer positivity, right? Mine. Yeah, mine, right? Nah. But yeah, accounts that give positive things. There's so many accounts that just do really positive things. They put out awesome things from books, awesome studies. They reinforce healthiness, things like that, right? If you really feel like social media is affecting you and phone usage, right? Because social media, you need a phone, so it's kind of linked together. Talk to someone, right? There's professional help now, and I think it should really be made aware because phones do steal life, right? I've gone on dates. I haven't gone on a date in probably over a year or so, but I've gone on dates and they just like I can see they want to grab their phone, and I'm just like, you can grab your phone, whoever's texting you or whatever, and they're just like, no, like I have a bad habit. I'm just like, me too, but I try to flip it down, put it in my pocket, put it on do not disturb. So if you think social media and your phone is coming in the way of your life, definitely seek some professional help. Because you want to live your life to the fullest of it, and if your phone is coming in the way of that, that's definitely not a good thing. At least it wouldn't be for me. I've learned to set time limits. There's also a little like it's a brick. You're able to block apps or whatever a certain time limits, and then in order to unlock it, you have to go where the little brick is at, and then click your phone. Um, so that's a little hack right there. There's apps I think that also do the same thing. Get an app that blocks your phone, and now you have to do something, right? Like whatever you have to. So as a society, I mean, we can promote awareness, definitely bring up that the media and real life are not the same, like huge awareness on that, because I've had it where I've compared myself so much and I just feel so down because of it. And I know on the other side it's not true, but you just can't help yourself, right? You're human. So definitely just keep reminding yourself of that. And I've learned just take breaks, right? I've taken breaks for over a month a long time ago. I haven't done it in a while, but definitely you can take breaks. Know that social media aren't the same as reality. You know, hopefully there's a way where companies just can maybe like shut down uses at night depending on time zones, right? That'd be awesome for sleep and learn a little bit about how it affects you mentally, right? How it wires your brain and how it affects it. So that's kind of a big spiel of the 8-minute presentation I kind of did in my class. The one in my class was definitely a little bit more formal and a little bit more or less yappy, a little more structure. But people wanted me to put out a video for it, so and I did. So hopefully those people that put out that they wanted to see it definitely enjoy it, and it gets me to practice. It gets me to get my thoughts out loud because definitely I overthink a lot, and doing stuff like this allows me to just kind of yap my thoughts out of my brain. So whoever watches, thank you very much. I have an episode right here that I really, really enjoyed doing, so you can go ahead and watch it. And I'll see you next time.